Oh man, this one is quite the mystery. Oh, not you, Pam. Well, it seems like a lot of you are. It's been on some shows about Kara. Um, her mother, her name is Audrey. I'm sorry. And she is still fighting for her mother's innocence. She still believes that her daughter is innocent, and she's going to fight to get her story heard. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to switch the layout, and then I'm going to accept her because she's in here now. And let me see. I think it's going to be this one. And then I will let her up. So what'll happen, Miss Dotson, is I'll let you up, and I'll go ahead and I'm going to explain to everybody and give a little intro to your daughter's case, and then I'll start asking you some questions. Okay? Hi.
Hi. I'm not very good at this. Can you even see me?
Well, if you'll click your box up in the right-hand corner or somewhere, there should be like a camera that has a line through it. And if you'll just click on it, then we'll be able to see you.
Okay, I'm looking for it.
I can come in on my other account and show you.
Okay.
Hold on a minute. It's
I keep
kind of...
getting there's like an advertisement going through there.
Okay.
Okay.
So...
Okay.
Oh, there you are. You found it. Oh, good. I'm glad. Thank you so much.
Not very good at this. I don't have a lot of experience with.
That's okay. Once you get the hang of it there, it becomes easier and easier. I want to thank you so very much for taking the time to join us tonight. It means a great deal to me, and it is my honor to be able to share you and your daughter's story. I want to just give a brief intro to everyone, and then I'll go into asking you questions, and hopefully you can give us some more information, okay?
Okay.
All right. So for those of you who don't know Kara's story, we are going to dive into this tragic case. She was convicted of, and we have to kind of say different words here.
I know.
So I'll say slurred her, but you know what I mean. Tragic case where she was convicted of a triple slurter, actually. And there's a lot of unanswered questions. We have a lot of conflicting evidence and maybe some instances of injustice here. On December the 22nd, 2008, this is the day that it happened. 3 people were found slaughtered in Franklin Furnace, Ohio. The victims, Edwin, which was my father's middle name, Edwin. So Sandra and their daughter, Ashley, a family known for their involvement in drugs, were gunned down in their home. And your daughter, Kara Garvin, who was 29 years old at the time, she was arrested and later convicted of all 3 of those unalivings.
Yes.
Prosecutors, they tried to paint her as this drug addicted, cold-blooded person, but you as your family, her family, and you as your mother know better, and you say that there's just more to the story.
Right.
The first place I want to start, obviously, is with the first witness from that scene. When it happened, there was a 6-year-old little boy who was there, and this was his grandmother, grandfather, and his aunt. And he ran next door and called 911. And he went into a description that a woman came in with dark hair. but there are some questions about his testimony because he initially couldn't identify the person who came in, but later pointed to Kara after his mother seemingly kind of coached him along on what color hair to look for in the lineup and so on. What exactly did this 6-year-old child say he saw?
According to the 911 call, well, first of all, and although there might be some dispute about this mother says it didn't. She's texted me or messaged me and said it didn't happen this way. But what I read in the paper, what I have seen in reports, was that the child ran down the hill to the next trailer, and the man there let him in and called his parents, his mother, first.
Okay.
Then they called 911. And he said, this girl, they came in, my papa, my mama, and my sissy, he called his aunt his sissy. And they said, what is her name? Or what is her name? And he says, I don't know her name. And then you could hear while he was on the 911 call, you could hear four-wheelers going up the hill. This is a very remote, rural area. The place that this occurred was on the tip top of a hill, a dirt road. It wasn't paved, anything like that. The road ran really close to this trailer that the child ran down to. And that man is the one who, he wasn't, I called him an old man. He was probably the same age as me, but he wasn't very educated, but I think it was a little bit more than that, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. And he also had a drinking problem. So anyway, he was the one who called the 911 then, and they put the child on the phone. I'm trying to think what else. So then, like in any case, once something like this starts, there's all kinds of rumors and whatever. And all that I have to go by is what I can read in the reports. Well, I heard the 911 call. I think you can Google it and get it online. And I read the newspaper reports, of course. What happened with me during this time was the 22nd day of December. We were getting ready for Christmas. Been to church that day to give out presents. We had collected presents. We bought presents for some of the kids. And the battery in my car died that day, and I couldn't go. So my pastor came and got me, and which was all kind of weird, but it was a good thing that happened in that my daughter came down, my oldest daughter, and she has a child that is the same age as Kara's child. They're a year apart, actually. Mm-hmm. So, and took her home, thank goodness, because I was on the computer. I've got the timeline. I am a nurse, and I was a nurse practitioner at the time in pediatrics. But being a nurse, you document everything, because if you didn't write it, it didn't happen, right? Mm-hmm. Also, I know that you forget, and you make up things to fill in. That's what's wrong with eyewitnesses. And people are people pleasers. They want to help and all that. So I wrote everything down, and I went back and I took the times from my cell phone so that I know who called me when and everything. My sister called me first. She heard that on the scanner that something had happened. And we had been praying for Kara, and because she was a drug addict.
Drug addict. I'm sorry, yes. You gotta love
She liked to
TikTok.
do this. It's just like, and she had gotten with this guy because he provided those things for her. And she did not have to go buy them anymore herself, because with her husband, she had to be the one, he was too, an addict too, and she had to go purchase those things for him with them both. So anyway, he promised her he'd take care of her.
Let's talk about Paul
Yeah.
Balmer. I can't even his name, Balmer,
Yeah.
for just a moment. This was a man that was quite a bit older than her.
18 years.
18 years older than her. And essentially, she was with him basically for that supply.
Yes.
And he was not a good man.
No.
In fact, he was convicted for 17 years for the unaliving of another member of the Mullet family.
He attempted it. He robbed them, actually, is what he did.
Attempted. Got you.
Yes.
Okay.
But he let's just say his common law wife, mother of his child, can you say suicide?
So we say self-exiting of the world of one of
Okay,
one's accord.
so
I'm just kidding.
supposedly
We say,
self-exiting.
I know. How do we say?
She
I don't know
unalived
how to say that
herself.
word, but I know what you're talking about.
She's supposed
I
to have
mean,
unalived herself.
unalived herself. Right. Yes, that's a good one.
But a deputy stood in my. This all happened that happened in May. She was still with her husband, still working, whatever. And in September, her daughter came to my house. We were hoping that this would get her to into rehab or whatever. And anyway, I called the cops to say that she had run away and come to my home, and what should I do? And he stood in my living room and he said, right in front of her, he unalived his wife, and we know it.
Yeah.
And we will get him. Well, they didn't. It's still ruled as that she did it. So you see, yeah, he's not a good man. And this is probably not his first either, but
So he claims that, well, he admitted to being there that night.
yeah, he
He
says
admitted
took
that
her
he
there.
had been there at that particular residence twice that day.
In his testimony, yes, that's what he says.
And he confessed to hiding the weapon afterward.
Yes.
But despite those suspicious actions, he was never charged with trying to tamper with evidence, hide the evidence, or any other thing to do with it. And he claims that he waited in the car. She went inside, and then let me make sure I've got this correctly. And she came out to the car, and she had a wallet, somebody's wallet. And now, did she go back in a second time and then come back
That's
out?
what he says. That's
what he
says.
said. Okay.
Yeah. He first says she threw something in the car and he didn't know what it was. And then that she came back out. But later if you go through the series of the reports and things, there's things that are changed. His route out of the place and where he ended up or where they ended up at the motel, they change depending on, well, I'll just cut to the chase. His very good friend and assistant with his activities was a detective. Okay. And we know that you've probably been on the website, so you've heard his own voice, possibly, and what he says. But yeah, he was his friend, and so there's just too many things in this whole situation that doesn't add up for a cop in an investigation. let's just talk about those where those weapons were or where her clothes, he says he placed. Okay.
He said he threw them out the window, but they were folded up real neatly.
Pretty neatly, yeah. Yes. And I put the pictures, I think I put the pictures on the website. Here's the thing. Those weapons were in a direct, and I mean an absolute direct line of a bank. It was a drive-through bank. There are surveillance cameras all around it. That camera would have been right on that spot because it was right next to a mailbox and to a garbage can. The motel was just a few feet away. You would have seen all cars going in and out. They could have known exactly when they arrived, exactly when they left. They would have known everything. They say they didn't get it. Now, why would you not get it?
Why?
I don't. They got the surveillance camera of the subway where they went for a sandwich.
Yes, let's talk about that. In the subway video, she has blonde hair, despite eyewitnesses that say the assailant had dark hair. And now she says that she was asleep, and that Paul took her car, and when he got back, he told her to dye her hair, and so she did. But they went to
What happened?
how much before the event where was the subway video? What time was that?
No, it was after.
It was after.
The event happened approximately, the call came in at 6:37, and the subway video is at 8:30, roughly around 8:30. It could be a little before that. My memory's not as good, but I have it written down. But yeah, she's blonde, and she's oblivious. You can look in the surveillance camera. She's oblivious. She's swinging her foot. She's, picking out a sandwich. He's got his hands in his pocket. He's looking up at the cameras. He's very much aware that he's on it. Then what happened is they went to the motel. They went first, I think, to when they reached Greena, Kentucky. They first went to a Family Dollar and purchased super glue for fingernails and black hair dye. She'll honestly tell me, I don't know why I dyed it. He did my hair all the time. He was the one who bleached it blonde. And so she said, I can't, he probably, but she said, I can't really, she just says, I can't really say without guessing, or she don't want to lie, she don't want to make things up, so you just say what you can remember and you don't vary from that. But anyway, so they came from the dye, then they went to the subway, got the sandwiches, and then they went back to the motel. And they're at the motel because he said that the cable was off at the house. So, and they're supposed to leave in the morning for Florida because they were going to move down there. So when he had come back from wherever he had been and got her up out of the bed, he said, let's go to Florida. And she said, no, I have a doctor's appointment. Let's go. And he said, the cable's out. Let's go to a motel. She said, usually says that whenever someone has told him that the drug enforcement task force is going to come to town, they would go to a motel. Okay. And you understand, Kentucky's just across the river. We're right on the Ohio River.
Born and raised in Kentucky. So.
Okay. So she didn't think anything of it, but when he said, let's go to Florida, no, I can't. They were packed and ready to go, but she had a doctor's appointment that day. On the next day, because that was on a Sunday. So she said, let's go to Portsmouth, which is Ohio. That's where the doctor's appointment was. He said, let's go to Ashland. She didn't want to go to Ashland. It's too far away. So they settled on Greenup, which is just across the bridge, Jesse Stewart Bridge. So he says, and then that's when they went to Family Dollar, and then they went to Subway, and then they went back to Family Dollar. Back to the motel. They ate their sandwiches, and he dyed her hair. And in the middle of having her hair dyed, my nephew, who is a criminal attorney, he was pretty young at that time. They grew up together. They were really close in age, and anyway, my nephew called her and said, I need to come and get you. Where are you at? And I'm not real sure if she told him exactly where she was at that time or not, but she said, I've got to take a shower because the stuff was in her hair and she had to get it out. If you've ever done your hair, you understand that. You get in the shower, you wash it out. Not many times. So, he texted and messaged, and I can't remember how many. I have to go back and look how many times it was back and forth. And she told him where she was. He went over there, and as she was walking out the door, Paul said, "You're not coming back." And she said, "Yeah, I am. I'm coming back. You have my phone. You got my car. I'm coming back," because he had had her phone all day because she had been asleep. She was trying to sleep off the drugs so she could get off of him because she wanted her child back. And she knew that was the only way she was going to do it. So she said, "Yeah, I'll be back." She didn't know what it was. And she said, and she knew that her, I don't know what to say for that word, weapon had been stolen. Can I say that word? Mm-hmm. Okay. That had been stolen like 2 months before that in October. Mm-hmm. So she thought it was something about that. Or she thought, okay, the jig's up. I'm a drug addict. They're going to get me or whatever. So she goes in and she doesn't know until maybe they get to the parking lot. And Rick kind of tells her and takes her in, and she never left. She took up for Paul. She kept saying, she kept begging Rick to help him, call him, tell him what's going on. Don't let him be, she was just real concerned that he was going to be blindsided like she was, and that he didn't do it. I didn't do it. I don't know what you're, talking about. And by the way, they played that at trial, which you're not supposed to, a conversation between your attorney and a client is supposed to be confidential and private, but they recorded it. Mm. Of course, they didn't say anything. She didn't say anything. And even during their interrogation, it was, there wasn't anything to admit to. She didn't give, she didn't do a confession or anything to. She didn't give, she didn't do a confession or anything like that. Although people will say, because it says in the paper that she turned herself in. Do you know that a lot of people believe that when you read she turned herself in, that they think that means that she admitted that she was guilty?
Right.
And it doesn't. That means she went in. He ran. He ran. He left. He went to Florida. And they
in fact, she was down there within 5 hours of it happening, answering their questions.
Mm-hmm. And he was gone. He left. And usually that's the sign of guilt.
Right. Can we talk about the forensic evidence just a moment? Because I found this so interesting. There were no weapon residue on Kara, her clothing, nor her car.
No.
But the slaughter weapon contained the DNA from 3 unidentified individuals. And they even though they said her fingerprints could be on it, they didn't conclusively determine that. And here's the thing. Here was my biggest question. We're having aha moments, but my aha moment when I learned about this case was she reported that missing within a few months prior. What makes them think that he wouldn't steal it? And then she's like, oh no, it's for real gone. And then she reports it because he knows what's going to happen. Why did they find it so hard to believe that he would know what was going on versus her?
I don't know. And I had a theory about that thing too. We know who broke into the house. We know. The granddaughter saw some of the belongings at this person's house. Her name is Erica. She was married to a man named Jamie. They left and went to Tennessee and lived after this, not long after it happened. She has black hair, by the way, just saying.
Interesting.
But we know she broke in. Okay, there were 18 of those things that were listed as missing beyond things like Xboxes and computers and telephone, those kind of things. So and I just say if they were the ones that took it, when I wouldn't put it past them, I mean, if they take everything else, they would take that because it was worth money, right? It was under her pillow. So if they take it, what would they take it for? They would take it to trade or sell for their needs, right?
Right.
And that would possibly be the person, the relative of the victim, that Paul was convicted of robbing. Now, when he's in there robbing them, what do you think he takes? One of them, he takes them down, he leaves it at or sells it, he said, I don't know, at well, whatever those stores are that will actually buy that equipment or whatever, So I don't know, either he took it, and he had an accomplice, in my opinion, and he was an ex-cop, and I mean, I've seen him several times lately, and he denies having anything to do with it, but I do know that he was one of the people that was called from her phone. There was 2 calls made before this thing happened. One was to the kingpin, who's a relative, okay? And it only lasted a minute. And the second, so he might not even answer, I don't know. And the second one was to this friend, and it was for 7 minutes. And then the crime happened, okay? Okay, so I wondered if that person didn't bring him the weapon. I wonder if that person wasn't either with him or near him and took that thing back and cleaned it. Because let me tell you, the casings were not ejected on that type of weapon. They are left inside. But there weren't any. Okay? So someone cleaned it. Could that be one of the DNA? I don't know.
It could be. And here's the thing is they ran it through CODIS at the time, but here we are 16.
No.
They didn't?
No,
I
they said
thought
there
they
wasn't.
did because
They
it's
said
16 years later, and I thought, what? This is even more mind blowing.
Well, they said that they said the specimen was not big enough. Just like with the one that they said was my daughter's, they said that they couldn't rule her out. 1 in 2,200, which if you know this, even if you took like just the population of Scioto County at that time, there would be 4,000 people you couldn't rule out. I spoke to an expert on DNA from Wright State. He's like number 2 in the nation. And he told me that today you couldn't even use, because the prosecutor stood up and said that that was her DNA, even though the DNA expert said you couldn't rule her out, but you couldn't prove that it was her either. But nevertheless, you know how they do. They can say and do whatever they want to do. So they said it was her. So he said today they wouldn't even be allowed to say that because it was just too little of a specimen for it to be that way. But we'll talk about the 3 DNA that they said
Yes.
that could not be run through CODIS because the specimen was not big enough. Let's talk today, almost 16 years later. The DNA has, technology has exploded. They can get touch DNA. That's what she says. Why don't they test the wallet? I got my fingerprints on it. I never touched anything. I wasn't there.
Are you familiar with the John Benet Ramsey?
I know a little bit about it, and I started to watch. Your broadcast on it, but then I think I got grandkids and they're here. So
Well, the reason I bring her up is it's interesting. John Ramsey, her father, is now petitioning for the justice system, the Boulder police, to allow them to test items that weren't tested, but also to rerun the DNA to get what's called genome testing.
yes.
Genome. And
I spoke to another person that was, I think it was called Cyber Genetics. I think that's the name of the company. And they can take not the specimen itself, but just the raw data and give you a profile or something. And I need somebody. I don't know if I could do it pro se. I think that's what they call it, where you petition the court. But listen, I've asked them, I've done FOIA requests to see documents. And I went down there and spent a day and scanned it and didn't, that much. They're saying they had that many. The stack they gave me wasn't much bigger than that of their evidence. I have 700 and some pages up there that came from her attorney, but they're multiples. They do things like that. They stick it in there 60 times so that you won't see something that you wanted to see. But today I feel that we could find out who those other 2 DNA is that's on there, or even the third one. It could have been hers. It was her gun, her weapon. It was hers. So, but somebody cleaned it. It didn't even have nothing on it, and those were some pretty close injuries. Okay. And the other thing is, and this is nobody, but the angle in which the injury was made. She was 5'2" at the max. He was 5'10", I think it was. And even if he'd had his head bent down looking, which he probably was, it wouldn't have, from someone down here up there, it would have gone up, not down. Right?
Yes, and let's talk about that for a moment, because they tried to say that he crouched. That's an awful long way to crouch. That's almost to the floor.
There's no way. You can, if you could see what I can see, the actual pictures, he fell straight back. He hit this trailer was so tiny. You cannot even imagine how little it was. 1 foot could be in the living room and 1 foot in the kitchen. Okay. And that's in front of the door. He went, and they had like a patio table. One of them patios that are glass and they have a hole in the middle for an umbrella. They had that, and you could clearly tell that he hit it going down. If he was crouched, he wouldn't have been laying out straight. Right. I don't think. But anyway, and the kid said he was at the sink, and it looked like he was. I don't think he knew what happened. I mean, it's sad. It's really sad.
Let me just say that we're not diminishing what happened to these three people or the
Right.
fact that the 6-year-old was traumatized. I think that was it the aunt that laid over him and protected him?
Yes. Yes.
And so I couldn't imagine what he went through. What we're questioning is the validity of the evidence
Right.
and the
Well,
preciseness and the
when he
relying.
identified her and saying that she'd been there before, which of course she had. She'd been there many times. They were friends.
Right.
He was sitting on his mother's lap. You've seen the pictures. She's this really attractive. Actually, I didn't even recognize her in this top little tiny picture. Everybody else is real big. And she's different. You can just look at the pictures and see it's the only different one in the thing. And I haven't studied picking out people, but evidently you put them in the right-hand corner because they put her in the right-hand corner on both of those sheets. And since April of 2010, a governor that we had signed into law that you can't do a lineup like that anymore. Someone who now it says in Ohio, whether they do it or not, I don't know, that the detective or whoever the officer is, he can't know who is the suspect, and they are all to be the same size and be done separate, and it can't be done that way, but you can tell it's prejudiced. It is. And then the other one was where she looked that night because she'd been crying and she was high. And the man who couldn't read, write, or spell, he identified that picture. Had been on TV every 15 minutes.
Yeah. Let's
WSATV.
let's talk about him for a moment. Now he said that he wasn't good with the names. So he saw what appeared to be a woman with black hair, dark hair driving. But at that night, here's what confuses me. He said that his kids had been friends with them for 10 years. But he did not know her name. I mean, it's just like common sense. I'm like, I know all of my daughter and my kids' friends, especially if they've known them for 10 years.
It wasn't true. None of it was true. I don't even think Karen knew his daughter. I mean, maybe, but he got so confused. Even on the stand, he had her in different cars and different trucks and just all kinds of crazy stuff. And I remember our attorney said, I don't even think I would have put him on there. What are they doing? You could just tell he didn't know. I mean, let's talk about the tan Jeep. She did not own a tan Jeep. Do you know who owned the tan Jeep? Juanita Mott. She owned the tan Jeep. It was sitting up there. Do you see what I'm saying? He had, if you would listen to his statements and testimony, he saw her back up that hill and drive back down. You couldn't possibly, because he saw her on his side, going up and coming down. You couldn't do that and be driving because it's a hill that's straight up and curved a little bit, and you would have to be a really good driver to be able to do that. The other thing is, it was dark. The sun had set. He said that at one point it was a nice day, and the windows were down. Do you see? His testimony didn't amount to nothing because he just wanted to help, but he didn't see anything. That's the truth. He didn't see anything. The child, I don't think he did either. It was reported in the newspaper, and by others that he was asleep when it happened. And yes, he was awakened, I'm sure.
Right.
And he said, she, they. And kids were my work, my livelihood. I mean, I know how they are. And I know that you can innocently plant something in their mind. Was it a boy or if he said, I don't know who they were? And if mom said, well, was it a boy or a girl? That's the first thing I'd ask. My kid came in here and said, somebody just done such and such. And I said, well, who did it? And I'd say, well, I don't know. I said, well, was it a boy or a girl? That's one of the first things I would ask. Maybe.
And his testimony changed, like,
Yeah.
like the color, it was black and then it turned into camouflage. And then he gave quite an unusual visual of like this vest full of sticky things. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
They did not take any of the changes into account.
And he said that she kicked the door in. The door couldn't be kicked in. It opened out. Okay? There was no kick marks in it. You couldn't. Spikes on the shoes. Okay.
Yeah, I thought that was odd.
I think he described a video game. I saw my son-in-law at the time watching this, playing this video game, and this girl was on there strapped with weapons on her chest and all in black, and she was hiking up on that leg and hicking and hacking and doing all that stuff, and it was a video game. I thought, that looks like what he described to me. And why did he change? I'll tell you why he changed. He changed the clothes because they told him to change it. Because in the testimony, which I'm sure you haven't read it because I haven't been able to put it on there, but in the testimony, he says, he starts out with it was a camo, but he changes it back to black. And what was found is a double XL Arizona sleeveless shirt. It was like an old work shirt you get at Walmart. They had taken the sleeves off. Now, he says these things that she had were in the pockets. My daughter didn't weigh. I mean, I knew she gained weight waiting for trial, but she didn't weigh 105 pounds. I don't think she weighed 100, okay? Her jeans I bought her were like, they weren't even a 1. They were zeros. And why? It's 16 degrees outside, or 20, somewhere around there. Why would she have a sleeveless double XL shirt on and no vest, and no shirt, no blouse, no matter whatever you call top? You understand what I'm saying? The sleeves it came down almost to her waist, the armholes, and it was cold. So, and then the other question is, was it outside the camo coat or was it on the inside of the camo coat? They didn't ask things like that. They didn't ask where her blouse was because they didn't have an answer for it, so they don't bother to even, I don't even know what they're thinking, you know.
Yeah. Did the vest have places to hang all of these?
They have pockets. It's a shirt. It was a shirt.
Okay.
So they had 2 pockets. Okay.
There's something else I want to bring up. She had a jailmate by the name of Brandy.
Oh, Brandy, yeah.
And she claimed some wild stuff, but the one thing she said that I think she was telling the truth on is that she was just saying what the prosecutors told her to say.
That's right. She walked out the door saying that, yes. There's a letter. Well, we were on that show. Those people, I came short of whining and dining us. They didn't do that, but they filled us full for so many months. And they believed in her innocence. I should have, and I'm really at fault here because I should have done my research. But by that time, I was just tired. You get tired, and I'm getting older, and it's just rougher. It's harder and harder. And I, you grasp on straws, somebody's going to help. I have spent money on investigators that have just taken my money. A couple con artists, actually, but you don't know that, And, but what they really wanted to hear is they wanted to hear that I had sold my house. I was homeless. I'd spent every dime I had, which I didn't have anything anyway. I mean, I have the home because I had to provide it for her daughter. I couldn't see how it would help me to spend $100,000, which my house would not have been worth $100,000. I live in Franklin Furnace, okay? And especially 16 years ago, it wouldn't have been worth that. They wanted to see that I had sacrificed my whole life and everything, and my health and everything, my home, for my daughter who was guilty. Because they really, they really wanted this dramatic thing to tell me that I needed just to accept it and all that crap. And so they whip out this letter that Kara wrote to Paul and make it look like, because that woman would say, that's the one that's supposed to be the prosecutor, said, or defense attorney, I don't know what she's supposed to be, said, if I was innocent, I would be saying, Paul, why did you do this to me? Well, she did write a letter like that, but you chose not to read that one right on there. I said, even the prosecutors didn't use that as any kind of evidence against her. It's just stupid stuff. And besides that, you don't know what was written to her to begin with. But the thing about Brandy, they brought out this laptop, and they were going to let us know that Brandy, wanted to say that she told her this stuff and all this crap. And I laughed. I did. I laughed. I said, what about the affidavit she was supposed to sign? What affidavit? They just about freak out. But she wrote a letter. You can read it. It's on the website. She lied. She is an informant for the sheriff's department now, or the prosecutors. And so, as a matter of fact, though, she's in prison right now, I think, in Ohio. Not in the same one Kara's in. They won't let them be together. Not that she would be in danger, but you just wouldn't want to be there.
Right, yeah.
They like to pretend that she's afraid, but
Yeah.
yeah, that's good old Brandy. She lied.
This has been a long, long journey for you, hasn't it?
It has been very long. Very long. Those snitch witnesses, which I don't know why any jury in the world would listen to a snitch witness, okay? One of them,
Yeah, they have benefits they get.
oh yes, one of them called me, told me to tell Kara. I wish I could have recorded it. She called me before the trial, or it was before the trial. Tell Kara I'm not going to, that I'm not, they want me to, testify against her. I'm not going to do that. Tell her I believe in her, blah, 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 blah. I don't know, some kind of bull crap about that, but they've been to her house. Well, the prosecutor herself traveled to another county to talk to this girl.
Mm-hmm.
So she testifies, and eventually she testifies that Kara told her that she did it, and she was going to, the kid, when she got out. What kind of moron would do that? I mean, you would really have to be a moron and guilty to say, oh yeah, I'm going to beat this rap, and then when I do, I'm going to the child. That's ridiculous. But you understand, saying these things about a kid is what touches a jury, right? But let's talk about the jury. You know who was on the jury? The sheriff's cousin. She was the foreman. They wanted the death penalty. Those women, I was told, those women wanted to give her the death penalty. There was one
That
man.
should be a conflict of interest
Sure
for
should have
a
been.
period for someone to be related to the.
How
Yeah.
about you want to know some more?
Yes.
Let me see. One young girl, worked with the prosecutor's wife. Must have attended his church because she said she heard about the case from the pulpit. And she sure didn't hear it from my church. And then there's the other woman, and I see her frequently. She actually had been my patient or my client. Well, she was my patient, my little patient, when she was a kid. So I knew her. But, I mean, she'd have been like 6 or 7. And she wouldn't have necessarily remembered me. But she worked with the victim's stepmother. None of these people should have been on the jury.
No.
One of the guys said, I can't say the word, like a dog. He said it, that's what should happen to her. They always say, well, she admitted it, didn't she? I mean, and they let these people in there, and they had 100. They brought in 100 people and to interview. And I'll never truly understand the process of picking out a jury. I know you have I don't know, you can say you don't want them for certain reasons or whatever, but you can only do that so many times. And they really tried so hard to get this one woman that I went to high school with, and she kept saying, I just can't do it. And they just kept after her, really wanting her. And I'm thinking, turns out her son-in-law was one of the, he's the prosecutor now. But, yeah, I don't know. It's a small town, but if you look, like you have looked at a lot of cases, what you can't go with what you read in the newspaper. And keep in mind that only the prosecutor can come out there and say what he wants to say. A defense attorney has to keep it to themselves, because that's giving away the strategy or whatever. There's many things in this case that to me don't add up. But the proof, why was she convicted? She was convicted by a 6-year-old child. Basically, I don't know if those people believe those stupid snitch witnesses or not. They each told a different story. But she was convicted by a 6-year-old, and that's really hard to fight. And he's not doing so well today, I don't think. And witnessing what he did, saw, yes, but he didn't have the family support that he should have had. And I will say too, when I was looking over my notes and things, or the things that I had written down, things that you forget, when they came here that night to my house looking for her, they were looking for 2 women. And they would ask me if she was a friend to this person or that person. And none of them were people that I knew that she would hang with. Well, a few years back, she had a cellmate that was from home, from Franklin Furnace. She had very black hair, by the way. Her and her sister both. And the only thing, and I remember Carrie being very nervous about it. And I said, journal, write down everything that happens every day. So if she says that you did this on that day, you can go to it and you can look and see. Because she was afraid that she would go home and say something or, make up something. Because they do that. But anyway, she asked her about the time. She might have asked her about the time that it happened or whatever. And she said, my sister and I must have just missed that. We had just been there. The 2 girls with black hair that they were looking for. I'm not saying they did it. I'm just saying there was a lot of people going in and out of that place. This was like, a lot of people in and out.
Oh, of
Yeah,
course.
it had a thriving business. So I don't know, but
What I'm stuck on too is how could they view the subway video? Clearly, she's got blonde hair. That
oh,
would
I
have been
tell you how they
like,
did it. I'll tell you what he did. She had a toboggan on, and it was like a camo, right? Well, on the toboggans are two sided. On the inside, it was black. So during the what is that summation? I'm trying to think of the word, but anyway, the prosecutor just sticks his hand inside that toboggan and pulls it back out black. So he implied that she had that toboggan on, but also if you'd see these pictures, there's a do-rag. You know what a do-rag is? This little triangle thing, because my daughter rode a motorcycle, okay? But this particular do-rag was black with white skulls on it. And it was tiny. And if you saw her hair, her hair was kind of curly. And if you brush out curly hair, it's like this. You couldn't cover the amount of hair she had with a little piece of triangle for nothing. And I don't think a kid would look at that triangle and say she had black hair. But that's kind of subliminally how they did it. They didn't really come out and say she did have that on.
right.
But yeah. But I was going to tell you too, that coat, that camo coat, I saw it. I saw it in his house on the 26th day of December. He was picked up, I think, on the 28th. I think that's how it was. But he had been down there. He was not in the state of Ohio when I saw that coat in his closet in a garbage bag along with all her other hunting clothes, because her and her husband would go hunting. He was the one who taught her how to use those things. Okay, and because his father had asked me to come and get her things, and I did, and I saw it because I kept thinking. I remember going to it twice. You know how you go, you look, and you go, I can't take that. I don't have room in my car. And besides that, I didn't want it. But then I went back a second time because I forgot what was in there. And I remember looking again. Oh, yeah, that's that hunting gear. And I only have room for really my grandchild's things and a few of her things. And so I know where it was. I've questioned myself over and over and over. Are you sure that's when you saw it? Now, all I know, because I've was only in the house twice. And so how did it get? He's in Florida. How did it get from his room to the side of the road? A couple days later.
Right.
How did the cops not find that particular item wrapped up in this a sleeveless shirt? It was right across the street. I mean, it wasn't even a big street. You know, it was like a alley. And I asked the cop. He was a Kentucky State Policeman. I said because he was the one who went in and searched the room. I said, "Sir, did you look in the garbage can that was across the street?" And he said, "No." And he said, "Lady, they don't put things in garbage cans." And I said, "But does that mean you wouldn't look?" And he said, "No." Well, Scioto County cops were out there, and some Greenup County cops were there. They wouldn't have seen that disturbance of the little bit of dirt, or not wasn't dirt, it was like weeds over top of this, right near a mailbox and a garbage can. You wouldn't look?
Are there, well, I guess it would be not. It would be not common in 2008, except for really businesses to have cameras and such. But are
Well,
there? either are they any intersections or anything that they tried to get tried? Or can we? I feel like I just want to say,
That
can we
bank,
try?
that bank, I tried from that bank. That bank was a direct line on this. I mean, you could have seen and identified the person that put it there. It's that close. And I called the bank at the time. Somewhere in my notes, I've got it. I called. I even went to the main, and they acted like unless I had a subpoena or something that, oh, we also tried to get surveillance cameras of, like on his trip to Florida, when you have to go through pay toll booths and stuff.
Yes.
Because we wondered, was he alone? We don't know he was alone, but we'd waited too late because you depend on an investigator to do these things. And I mean, I won't say anything bad about the people that defended my daughter. But they let me investigate, and I'm just the mother.
Yeah. We see that a lot, believe it or not, in true crime cases where the police will leave it up to the people to do the work and the investigating. And I don't know if that's because it's just an abundance of cases and they're just trying to clock in and clock out. But most of the work is done by people. And your daughter lost and exhausted her appeals. So
Well,
now,
she had, yeah, you get a district, which is a joke because the judge is on there from this area. And then the state, I don't even think they looked at it. My nephew, I begged him to do it, and he did because I didn't have the money. But she can do, if we got, the Innocence Project said that I needed new evidence. So
yeah,
that's what we have. If you have new evidence, then you can go for a post-conviction release.
yeah,
And that's what I need. I need new evidence. But I don't know how to get it. I mean, if the only witness you have is a 6-year-old, you can't prove that you were asleep 5 miles away or 10. I don't, unless I could get, unless the surveillance from that bank actually does exist and is hidden. It's happened before. I've read a case where this evidence was found in the detective's garage.
yeah,
Some of it slipped behind a file cabinet. There's all kinds of things, and I think that's the thing that I keep this hope for, that if they've got that video and they've tried and they've kept it hidden all this time, and I wouldn't put it past them. The prosecutor at the time, his reputation was, well, one person told me that worked there that he was the type that he would he would withhold evidence, even if it wasn't even anything that would help the defendant. He'd just do these things because he could. He was just kind of vengeful or something. I don't know. He just wasn't a very good person. And he no longer works. He's retired, I think. The only people that are still there, the official prosecutor, they had assistants that actually prosecuted her. The real prosecutor sits in his office. He didn't know very much, but he is now the judge. A judge. Yeah. He's replaced a judge who had to leave because, I can't say those words. You gotta look him up. Judge Marshall. Look him up. And then, of course, Harkey was the one that prosecuted that judge was the judge. And he went to the witness. We were told by one of the jurors that he went to their thing afterwards, thanked them for their time and that they did a good job, and that she had been a getaway driver when he did something in Kentucky. And I mean, where'd they get that? Never heard that before. Why would you do that? And, if they're such good, upstanding people and honest people, why'd they let Marshall get by with all that he was doing all those years?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was in charge of the court. I forgot what word I was supposed to use for that.
Rug.
Yeah, the rug court. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And he was getting those girls, you can read between lines.
Mm-hmm.
Trafficking. Good
There's a lot of people in the comments that they're just absolutely shocked by all of the different facets of this case. And quite a few know this case and have studied this case. And there's over 200 people in here right now who are supporting you, because when I first heard this, and I really hadn't even read into it at all. Dora was telling me about this, and what she was telling me, I was like, "You're kidding! There's no, it doesn't make any sense."
Doesn't mean either.
The biggest thing I can get over is they're saying that he's not smart enough. My father was a rug user and the holler hoodlin, and there's one thing you never underestimate, and that's a rug user. He could have they plan it, I just can't get past that they are trying to evaluate somebody's intelligence on their ability to do or not do a crime.
You mean the one who said that he was so dumb he couldn't find his way out of a room even with a door? Yeah, that was that show. I mean, honestly, he was pretty smart. He knew exactly what to say and what not to say. Yeah, he had... I would like to know how they were... I wonder if you could get that. Ask for FOIA for their let's see, how would you call that? Were they were coached or told what to say before they went and testified? Because his testimony changed on that one too. Did you like the part where the detective says that he lined women up that were at the scene, past this child, and said, is she about this tall or that weight, and all that kind of stuff, and comes out with 5'2" and 120 pounds, I think, which she was not. And I think they got that from a driver's license. And then they said, and I remember our attorney saying, well, who were these people? So we can, compare. Well, he couldn't give them any names. And that's sloppy work too, but they would rather look stupid than admit that they had it and don't want to, they don't want to share it. But yeah, like a 6-year-old says, yeah, she was 5'2" and 120 pounds.
That's not typical. 6-year-old. When you see these papers, you can see them on the book face. We have to say that backwards. And everything, 6-year-old and then 5-year-olds coming home, and they give them a list of questions to ask about their parents, and they say, how tall is your parent? And they say 7 foot, and they say, how much does she weigh? 100,000 pounds or whatever. It's not consistent. Like 6-year-olds don't know your height and weight based on your appearance.
No, they don't. Someone said Kara had on sweatpants. No, she didn't. She had on jeans. Oh, well, it depends on what you're looking at.
Yeah.
She had jeans when she went in to the, and I still have the shirt that she had on. I still have the pant. I have her clothes. I have her clothes. Um, yeah. I'm trying to think of what she had on during at the subway. And I think they were gray and black camo pants, I think, because I know she had a pair, because it had a little jacket that matched. It was a cute little outfit. And I knew she had a sweatshirt on. But when she went in, she just had her friend Destiny, who was in that movie too, if you saw it. And she had a shirt on that said Army, because Destiny had been in the Army, and it was a big T-shirt. And you know that Destiny has passed, and so is Dustin that was in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's sad.
Let me read something. I wanted to go back to this 6-year-old because that's quite where I'm stuck. As we should be, since the entire thing was basically based on this child. And I'm not saying that children can't testify. I'm just saying that you have to look at the whole thing and say that this does not make even common sense. The child had indicated, and I'm reading this from the appeal, one of the appeals, indicated that a woman with dark hair had unalived his family. Detective Blaine asked additional questions about the appearance. To get a better understanding, Blaine had the child compare the physical characteristics of the assailant to those women present at Dameron's trailer. That's the guy down the road who, yes. While Blaine was talking with the child, other law enforcement officers began to suspect that that your daughter was involved, and then the mother of the child, she had the child taken to the hospital, and then she had the child in her lap, and the detective was saying, okay, and then tell us, and then the mother was kind of coaching the child on along to tell what color hair the
Look at the
child
hair.
had. That's right. And what they're saying is because she was doing that, they took the child to another corner, and that's why his testimony can be counted. Well, I would think at that second it was tainted.
It was,
1 second of coaxing, no matter what corner of the earth you take them to,
right.
it was already tainted and should have been disregarded.
Right. The other thing is that, the courts take what a detective or law enforcement says as gospel because they always tell the truth.
Right.
Unfortunately, they don't. But what are you going to do? You can't. So, but he was supposed to have taken a recorder, and he said he didn't because didn't go back to the station, but he did. He had to be at the office to make the sheet up to put a lineup. Do you see what I'm saying? So he could have picked up a recorder and if I was a cop, that's exactly what I would do. I wouldn't want anybody to suggest that I said something or did something. I would want it recorded for proof, absolute proof.
Mm-hmm.
And how are we going to prove anything without that video or something that would prove that she wasn't there?
I think I want to talk to you about the Innocence Project in just a moment, but I think probably now at this point where you begin is figuring out how to get that little bit of DNA or a little bit of whatever they got, further testing, and that could be, gosh, I don't even know, because I know the way that John Ramsey is doing it is he's got a petition and he got so many signatures and then he gave the petition to the governor.
Oh,
Have you
okay.
thought about doing that? Is starting an online petition for the retesting of evidence?
I hadn't. No, no. I mean, that's an idea. I will tell you that recently, like in the last 2 to 3 weeks, an exoneree that I met in 2010, sweetest person you've ever met. She was exonerated by the Northwestern, I think it was Northwestern Innocence, I think it's called wrongful conviction unit. She she has some contacts, and I mean, we've been talking ever since 2010 when we met. She's such a sweet woman. She really is. Been on TV a lot, and there's books written. But anyway, she has got in contact with an investigator who is writing a book, and he's involved in lots of cases and stuff. But he's going to help a little bit here. He's going to guide us to go through her stuff and organize it in such a way that he can look at it. And his fee is very reasonable compared to so many other that I have been, that I've seen before. I know that he's doing it probably for her. And I appreciate her so much. So that's a positive, and I look at it that as a positive and a hopeful sign, and a hopeful that he'll find something that would help us reopen the case. But yeah, I thought I needed an attorney. I never thought about petitioning a governor. We have DeWine. He ain't going to do nothing.
Well, I don't know. Well, I mean, it's worth a shot. You
Well,
never
yeah,
know.
it is.
Look, John Ramsey's done the same thing, and the Boulder police still didn't do nothing. I mean, they
It
took it into consideration, but they
is.
still didn't. All they have to do, even in that case, it's a little further that they have the DNA in a lab from John Ramsey or John Day Ramsey case, and they're saying all we need is permission from the
Get it.
police to
Exactly.
test new items, and they still won't do it.
They won't do it. They don't want to be shown up. They don't want to be, they stand by their convictions. They have to. It's a matter of pride, in my opinion. It's not a matter of justice, it's a matter of pride. And I know one case in New York that prosecutor got her own show because she talked about her success rate. Well, yeah, she was 100% successful, but they weren't all guilty. And I don't know. I don't understand. You can't, when you have some morals and ethics yourself, and you want to think everybody does, and it's really hard to take. I believed in the justice system. I did. But I don't anymore. And I want to tell you something. I pray no one that is in this chat room tonight or on this live that ever has to go through something like this. This is the worst thing that you can experience. It is the most painful thing you can go through. It is.
Yes. I see Dora down in the comments. You're asking me what was the title again?
The show, it's not a movie really, it's a TV show, and it was called Reasonable Doubt, and the episode is called To Die For, DYE. Okay?
I saw that and I was like,
Because
why would
she
they?
died, because of
I
her
know, but it's so
dying.
insensitive.
It is. They're rude.
I
They
was like,
were
that's
such
unprofessional.
liars. They were such liars. You know what? The woman that was trying to get me to make these confessions that I couldn't make because I didn't do it, sold my soul, so to speak. She found out that I had a T-shirt that had Shoot, now I forgot her name. A singer on it from the 70s, and she wanted it. And I thought, are you kidding me? Who sang Bobby McGee? Oh, crap, I know this. Not Carol King, no. But she died. Anyway, I can't think of her name.
Oh, Janis Joplin.
Janis Joplin. I had this T-shirt from 1970 of Janis Joplin singing. And she wanted that T-shirt for her collection. And I thought, geez, I'm sure glad I wasn't stupid enough to give it to you.
No.
But anyway, what they did do, they didn't get me to make a confession that I was penniless. Well, I am, but I'm not that much, I can still eat. I still have a roof over my head, but that I'd done all this. They had to have something. So they got my other daughter to say that she felt like she lost me and was all hurt and crying and everything. And I love both of my daughters the same. And had it happened to my older daughter, I'd have done the very same thing. And so I'd have been with her. And I have helped her and I have been with her. So that saddens me that they caused that.
Dora just commented that she found the application for post-conviction DNA on Ohio's website. So I say we start there.
Well, let's do it. Huh?
Yeah.
All right. She'll send it to me.
Yes. Let's start there. A petition wouldn't hurt. You can start there. I think change.org is a good one. And I'll put it on my website and I'll make videos about it and I'll do what I can to help you.
Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate you taking the time to just expose this. I mean, that's a lot of the problems. And then we live in this little teeny tiny town that no one's ever heard of, and we have a lot of support from her friends and family, but there is a sect of people that, of course, feel like that she's guilty, and those would be the people that participated in the same activities. If you get my drift.
Yep.
And people lie. I've had people that were in prison with her that they'll come home and they'll say, "Oh, she stood up in the chow hall or whatever and said she did it." And I said, well, if you're going to tell a lie, at least tell one that's makes a little sense. She won't even eat down there. So
yes, let me stand up in the middle of this lunchroom and just confess. No. Even the people who do say stuff like that, they'll do it in the corner of their cell, their bunk cell. They're not going to stand up and announce it for the whole jail.
Well, and I'll tell you too, people will say that everybody's innocent in prison, and that is not true. I would say the majority of people that are guilty admit their guilt. But I will say too that it's in 16 years and her story's never changed. She's never made up things that would help explain some things. If she can't explain it, she doesn't know. There were latex gloves inside a pair of workers' gloves that they say that she wore. Okay? The latex gloves has her DNA on the inside. She was an EMT. She had latex gloves in her EMT bag. I have her EMT bag. It was in the car. There's still no other residue that's on any of that, but she cannot explain. I have no clue, she said. I would have never worn two pair of, I said, I heard that when people go hunting, they would wear them inside gloves because it would keep their hands warm. Never heard it, never did it, don't know. Been a good reason for her an excuse for her to say, oh, well, I just had those on during hunting. But she didn't, because she says, I don't know. They must have picked them up out of the garbage and stuck them in there, is all I know.
No, the possible.
Well, yeah, they
Possible.
had access
Totally
to the house.
possible.
Yeah, they had access to the house. Because let me tell you, those clothes were in the house. I saw them.
Can you tell everybody what the 6-year-old child's mother's relationship to Paul is?
I didn't know they had one. I have heard she has made references on TikTok that they had a relationship. I just found a picture that I had taken of her, Facebook, at that time. Okay? She's a very attractive, very dark-headed girl. I almost didn't recognize. I mean, I had taken the picture off of Facebook. Oh, I mean, I'm not supposed to say that either. Book face, and I didn't know that until you told me. And I did it because I thought it was funny. Because the guy that she was with, which is that child's father, he had white stuff on his nose, and I thought, why would you take a picture like that and post it on there? So I copied it, but I just found it in where I had saved it. I got everything. I'm telling you, talk about a hoarder. I'm a hoarder of her records, everything.
I would be too. I have a daughter. I have a son and a daughter, but I would do the exact same thing that you're doing until the moment I took my last breath. And I would fight for my children equally. And so I saw that portion of the show and I thought that was so horrible to put y'all on the spot like that, to put her on the spot like that for ratings. That's what it came down to, was for ratings.
Exactly. You're right.
Yeah. I read about them and a few other complaints from other families who said that the same thing happened to them.
Yes. One man I met, Cliff Middleton, his dad is in prison in, I don't know if it's, I think it's Missouri, because there's Missouri and Kansas City, and they're just like they're right that, I guess, together. And there lies the problem. But anyway, they asked to do his case, and they gave 2 endings. And then, because they say that if they find that you're innocent, their claim is that they'll help you. Well, they don't.
Yeah.
They, in his case, they got some, they weren't even criminal attorneys. It was like family law, I think it was, and asked them to do a pro bono for them, reasonable doubt. And so they agreed. So then when they reached out, they didn't know nothing. They said, I can't do this, family law. And so they don't really help them. Is that still on TV by now?
It is. I watched it for the purpose of understanding. And the one part I didn't like, this show, y'all, they tried to set up a replica of the crime scene and the distance, and then they tried to say that it's possible to unalive 3 people basically at point blank range and not have any blood splatter on your clothes, because they found no blood on that vest.
Right.
And I just don't.
And it's in the house.
I've never heard of that situation, ever.
Didn't say that. Well, she wouldn't necessarily, because he said she didn't have anything on her. He said, well, they wouldn't necessarily have. Well, let me tell you, it's in the floor. It's on the wall. It's on, and they've got pictures of it. So yes, it would have been somewhere on it.
Somewhere. I have never. It was because they tried to present it as they are experts, and they are not. No, because I have never ever heard of that.
I think that person was just someone that they paid actor that they get to do that in every one of their cases. Yeah.
Well, it was like a nightmare episode from Mythbusters. I'm like, what is this?
Yeah. Yeah.
because that puts in public opinion a mindset in people's minds, and now it just was not. They didn't present, which you can't in an hour show or however long was it, and they shouldn't take on that responsibility of trying to solve this or not solve in an hour and decide on
Right.
whether or not they can help somebody or not.
Right. And it's a joke. It's a total joke. It was just a total joke. You had to be there. I mean, I haven't really even watched the whole thing. I could watch bits and pieces of it. I have trouble looking at myself. And I couldn't watch it, especially right after it happened. They absolutely tore me to pieces. It just tore me up. And my brother died at the same time. It was like I was not with him because I was with them, and that made me mad. But yeah, so I haven't really watched it, but they would say, Audrey, look at Andy. Andy, look at Audrey. and and evidently they
They
do
cut it.
that and splice it in there.
They
So
cut it
we must be looking like, oh,
because I noticed that. I noticed that. You can count like the skips because they were like, and how does this make you feel as her daughter? And then she would be like, and then you'd be like, I'm like, no, it doesn't happen that way.
no, no, it doesn't. And then the idiots that would watch that show actually and make comments like, oh, she did it. She said, I like this part. Keep in mind, if you're ever accused of anything, if you smile, you're smirking. If you frown, there's another reason.
Yeah.
But anyway, this one person said, because Lily could tell she was guilty by her eyes, right, or eyebrows. That was it. But in this one one of them said, well, she said she shouldn't be in jail. She shouldn't be in prison. She didn't say she didn't do it. She just said she shouldn't be in prison or something like that. I don't know, because I didn't watch hers either. I couldn't. I've still not been brave enough to watch the whole thing. My friend Michelle says, you should, Audrey. Michelle met my daughter in prison where she was working as a volunteer. And she looked up her case, and then she got in touch with me, and then we just started talking. We've been great friends ever since. And, I asked God not to let this whole thing be in vain. I still don't know the purpose of this whole thing, but I do know that I've met people through Kara. Some are guilty of what they did, but they're real human beings, and they're not monsters, and they're not. There is such thing as a rehabilitation or changing, but not that they do it themselves. The prison system has nothing to do with it. Do you understand what I'm saying? That term, that word that's in Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Correction, they could take that R out of there because they don't do any. But people themselves make that change in there. And I have met some really decent people that has come out, and she's had a lot of friends that they may not talk to her after they get out, but a lot of them have reached out to me and told me how much Kara helped them, or what she meant to them, how she helped them inside. And I know that a lot of the support that I give her money wise goes to other people. I know that, and it's okay.
Unconditional love, isn't it?
Yes,
Always.
always. That's right.
No doubt that this battle will be a long one still.
I just hope I'm around to see her come home. That's what I worry about. I just had my 73rd birthday.
Oh, happy
And
birthday.
yeah, it was a week ago. But yeah, it gets a little scary now. I'm a little scared now. I'm the only one who supports her. I'm the only one who visits her. I'm the only one. I mean, her father doesn't. Her sister doesn't. And that's how it is.
I want to thank you so much for spending the last hour and a half with us and telling your beautiful daughter's story. I'm going to show her picture because we haven't looked at her gorgeous photo yet. And I pulled some recent ones because I just love them.
There's her at 15. No, 17, 17.
I looked at all the baby pictures today from, I think you had them from a newborn all the way up to, yes. And I was like, that's amazing. I love them. But here's her picture.
Yeah. That's her girl.
I believe they done her wrong, ma'am. I study a lot of true crime cases. I have a bachelor's in accounting. I have no law degree. I'm just going to put that out there. But I found myself now to be a content creator and to have a platform to give people like you to have a voice. And I'm so blessed to have found my calling. And in doing so, being able to give people a platform is what's important to me. And so there's a lot of cases I read. There's a lot of situations I read, and you start to understand what makes sense and what don't. You know what I mean? When you study a lot of different cases and a lot of different ways things could go. And so, and people will agree. The public will agree if they see it's if you got a pool of 10 or 12 drawers, but at the end of the day, the more eyes that see it, the more evidence, the more they can critically think. I'm a true believer in more eyes is better than one set of eyes. Right. And so you never know. Maybe tomorrow we'll wake up and some lawyer in Ohio goes, let's do it. You never know. You never know. And look, we've come up with this wonderful idea together. Dora found the application. You never know. And so I'm honored to be a part of this journey, whatever it may be for you.
I really, really thank you so much. And Dora, I mean, I don't know God has just put special people in my life, and you're one of them, and she's one of them. I mean, who would have ever thought that I would have been on TikTok and talking about this, because this is what I need, not some stupid show that was out for ratings, but a person that really wants to know what happened. Well, you know, and I'm so happy that I've been able to at least tell it and get it out. And people, you just can't look at something on the surface. You have to question so many things that they don't bring out.
That's right. And don't give up. I'll give you a statistic. Well, there's two of them that I want to throw out. One of them is more than 3,000 people a year are wrongfully. I'm sorry. More than 3,000 people since the 80s have been wrongfully convicted. And specifically in your area, they done, when it came to your daughter's case, they done a study on how many people had seen this in the news. I think it was something like more than 80% of them. And then they denied her request to have it moved outside of the area.
Number one most published thing in the newspaper. Number one.
I don't know why. It's like somebody just had it out from the very beginning.
Maybe they wanted to protect somebody else.
You got it. I was born and raised, I was born in Lexington, Kentucky, but I was raised in quite a small town in Harlan. I don't know if you've heard of
of course I
have. That's where I was raised. Very small mountain town. And I would tell you 1,000% corruption. It exists in every county, in every city and town, but it exists everywhere, and you wouldn't believe the number of higher up people who look out for each other.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yep.
All right.
Just Google Scioto County. and it was the epicenter of it all. As a matter of fact, we were on page 236 of Dreamland. It was funny. Somebody called me and said, "Hey, have you read this book? That sounds like you on page 236." I think it was. And I said, "Oh, yeah, that was." Yeah. So, but it's the epicenter. It was the epicenter. It's bad here. And I don't know that it's any better now. But, yeah, and corruption, if they're not when they get in, they are before they get out. And I don't know why. Or maybe it's the type that go for that particular occupation. I don't know. Power, control. I don't know. But I appreciate you so much. I really do. I thank you for the time that you've taken out of your life to, again, a security alert for something. It's just
it's probably, I don't know. They probably tagged us in some kind of word or something. We
it was
don't know.
my fault.
No,
I'm sure
it's
it was my
okay.
fault. I know.
It's okay. It's okay. I wanted to give you a little bit of encouragement here. I did see a comment from a person named B in the comments, and she said that her friend was in jail. Let me go back. I want to make sure I read this right. We just had a guy released in her country after 30 years in prison. He was innocent all along. So don't give up.
I won't.
For as long as you can.
For as long as I can.
You know, I was telling my husband just today, we went out to Shoney's this morning for breakfast, and we've been married for 30 years now. And I said, we got 100 tickers. Well, he was talking about how fast the year goes, and then just the new one starts. And I said, honey, we got 100 tickers. If you're lucky, you get 80, maybe 90. I said, we're about 50, he's about to be 50 and I'm about to be 48. And I said, so that's why you got to look at it. How many tickers you got left and what are you going to do with them? So that's what we talked about. It was like, okay.
You got a lot. By the way, you've got a lot more.
Well, if be it his will, we never know when our last day on earth is going to be. And so you have to make sure that you live it to the fullest and that you try to make some sort of positive difference in someone's life and leave the earth a little bit better than you found it.
That's right. That's right.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us. And this is just the beginning. You're welcome back here anytime, any kind of updates. I'll do videos and support the petition and support your cause and use my platform in any way. By the way, this entire interview will be up on YouTube. I have about 5,000 subscribers over there. And so it'll be put up there. And I will also turn this into a podcast. This audio, I have pulmonary sarcoidosis, so I've got to cough just a second. I hate when I have to cough in the middle of an interview. So I'm going to pull this podcast audio and it's going to be available wherever major podcasts are heard. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Yes, all you have to do is click on it and you'll look for it's the same username and logo everywhere. And so you'll be able to share this podcast so people can listen to it in videos, this whole entire thing. So in case your friends or family missed it, they can go back and watch it and advocate for your daughter. Okay.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. So and I hope you have a blessed night. And I'll let you down, but you message me. I'm going to give Dora my phone number so that she can give it to you and we can all stay in touch. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll be praying for you.
Because I don't know how.
I will. I'll let you down. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Maybe.
All right, folks. What a night. I feel so blessed to be able to bring this opportunity to her and to it really her daughter. And I just want to say thank you, Dora, for bringing this case to me and allowing me to study it and learn about the facts and connect with her. Yes, Cajun, amazing, amazing fight, amazing lifelong commitment. And we would do the same for our own children. We would totally do the same. I would, if I truly believed in my heart. Now, in my heart, if my children done something and it was clear that they done it, I would want them to be held accountable. But if I feel like they're innocent, I would never give up that fight, ever. Hey, Chastity. Hey, Krista. I saw your comments throughout, but I wanted to give Mom there a chance to speak. And so I'm sorry if I didn't individually talk to you, but I saw every one of your comments. I see every one of your likes. I see every one of your hearts and your good thoughts. Oh, yes, of course.
Hi, Steph. I have the petition now in my bio. Because we put together, Miss Audrey, a link tree so that we could do like the petition and tell Kara's story, share the website. The website's also in my bio. And hopefully we can get things rolling for her, because I've heard her cry out a lot and just with no hope, because she's been turned down so many times with so many people. This woman has relentlessly went through, I don't know how many investigators. She hired them. She even rented out the property that this took place in just to prove a point, and was still denied for any help.
Right.
And in my heart, I know that the biggest key point of this investigation or this case is that DNA.
Yes.
That DNA is going to speak a lot of volumes. And without that DNA, it's going to be like, it's hard, because she has just went through file after file, just daily searching for a way to fight for her. And people just say, no, this case can't be reopened. She's guilty. She's guilty. Well, if you look at the substantial amounts of evidence, how is she guilty?
Yeah.
How?
Yeah.
It's overwhelming, and it's a lot. And this case contains so much that people don't realize that it was just looked over by the court system. It was not ever put into questioning. And for Mom to be now 16 years later with a whole room full of boxes of documents that says otherwise, how is somebody not picking this case up? How is somebody not saying, okay, from the lack amount of evidence that the witnesses or anybody provided, how is that case not opened up? How many cases do they open up? If you look at the news media, you see cases getting reopened after 25 years.
Oh, yes. Yes, of course.
Like you said, John Benet Ramsey's case. Look at that case.
Exactly. Yes.
Why is Kara's any different?
Yep. You just got to keep fighting for the new evidence. He gets out on the other attempted charge soon, doesn't he, Paul?
Yes, he gets out next year. And when he gets out, how goes to say that Miss Audrey ain't in danger?
Yes.
Because she's been speaking against him all this time.
Yes.
So why is nobody saying nothing, and why is nobody trying to help this lady fight? That's my whole thing. She's been speaking publicly for so long to fight against Kara's conviction, because she knows, for one, it's wrong. For a man to look you in the eye when the police are on their way to get you and say you're not coming back, screams guilt to me. Yes, the Innocence Project turned her down because they said she lacked evidence. They need new evidence.
Isn't it up to the Innocence Project to try to get new evidence?
Yes, they automatically told Miss Audrey that she needed new evidence in order to reopen Kara's case. And they can't get it. Why can't you? Don't you think that this Department of Police have this so-called DNA stored away somewhere?
And then Tara says, but they'll take on Scott Peterson.
Right. We're taking on all these cases, but not Kara's because...
Yes, they're taking on Scott Peterson because they might have found a van that was on fire.
Yes.
But they're not going to take on this one over here because it just doesn't make any sense.
They're not going to take on this one because the 6-year-old said she was guilty.
There's too many discrepancies. I'm not discounting the child. I'm just discounting he could have been in shock. The person driving the car could have been someone else with dark hair. The person driving the car could have been Paul with a dark wig.
Yes. Not only that, but if you look at it, first of all, Kara wasn't dark-haired at the time of the murders. She was blonde. 2 hours later, after the murders, Kara is in a Subway getting a Subway sandwich, blonde hair. She was blonde-headed after the murders. So you tell me that was not put into questioning at the trial? Said, okay, Kara was blonde at 8:30, but she was convicted by 9:30, 10 o'clock that night. But how could the murders happened at 6:37 in the evening?
Exactly.
The sun was set. It was 20-something degrees outside. It was cold. The trailer where they lived, if you look up the address, it's on top of a hill. It's dark as crap out there. On top of a big old hill. You mean to tell me the kid ran down the hill to the neighbor and the neighbor couldn't get the story right, but they saw a dark-haired woman? Kara wasn't dark-headed at 6:37. She wasn't dark-headed until 8:30, after 8:30.
CG, I see you in the comments there handing out subscriptions, and I saw all your roses. I saw everybody's left tonight, and I don't know who happened before her. I try not to miss anybody who hands out subscriptions because I appreciate them so very much. So if I missed you, I'm so sorry, but thank you for all the support, and welcome to everybody who got gifted a subscription tonight by anybody. Welcome to the SCF family, and you can now have access to the Discord as a subscriber. If you need that link, make sure you message me so I can send it to you.
Oh, I need it. I don't have it.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. And I'm going to send you my phone number too, my cell phone number.
Yes, and I will send you some of the statements from this, and I'll send you some other stuff clips of the interrogation. You should see this. Like, this woman is confused in this interrogation. Staff, she doesn't even know why she's there. She thought she was there. The first question she asked when she sat down was, "Did you guys find my pew-pew?"
I only saw a very, very small clip, and I want to see that whole thing. And I searched for a long time and I couldn't find it. I want to see his too. Pause.
Girl, she was in interrogation from 9-something till after 1 a.m. 1 a.m. They kept her there. They took her shoes off, and the shoes she had on did not match the description. None of the clothing matched, nothing of the sort. Kara, and the funny thing to me is, and I said this in the comments earlier, when Mom had him on her lap picking the lineup photos, Kara in the lineup photo was blondish brown hair.
Mm-hmm.
But the pew-pewer was dark-headed, right?
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to pick Kara up to the far right when she was blonde-headed and you're claiming that it was a dark-haired woman? Wouldn't you look for a dark-haired woman in those photos?
Yes.
Wouldn't you look for a completely dark-haired woman? She had about the same color hair as you do in her lineup photo. And it was long and curly.
Mm-hmm.
So you're telling me, and Mom kept saying, pay attention to the hair. Pay attention to the hair. And Mom has spoken publicly on this app negatively about Kara and Kara's family, and has still brainwashed that boy to this day. He still believes that it was Kara. Taylor sent subscriptions, 5 of them.
I was just scrambling over to write her name down. Taylor subscribed herself. Welcome to the SCF family, and has sent 5 subscriptions, y'all. 5 more folks. Mama, Tara, Child, TT, all got subscriptions. So welcome, y'all, to the SCF family. I just want to talk about this. This is freaking crazy. 1 more subscriber in the next few minutes to unlock extra stickers and features.
There we go. You got 1.
Let me put this into perspective. My subscriber goal yesterday was 460. I have 558 subscribers right now, and that is like I can't even process.
Look, you got
this.
a 4th bonus round. You need 2 more within 5 minutes.
2 more within 5 minutes.
You've got a subscription wave. Time to dash.
I'm going to pin this in case anybody else wants to subscribe. As part of the subscription, you get sub-only stickers that you can use, sub-only lives, sub-only moments of my personal life that only you get to see. I posted a 5-minute reaction video of me today going in the new house we're going to be moving into, just for my subscribers, because I was like, I'm going to see this for the first time and I have to share this with everybody. So that's just one of the things. And all kinds of different cool things. You get access to the Discord, and it's just your way of supporting me to have a platform like this to help other folks seek justice, try to find their missing loved one. Whatever you can think of. I mean, I'm here for it every day. 7 days a week. 7 days a week. I work 7 days a week, even on Sundays, honey. And I'll do it.
And you help so many people be a voice. And that's why I brought this to you, because the voice, I just feel like Miss Audrey has not been heard by nobody. She has tried. She even dedicated many hours to create this website for Kara. She created many hours to Book of Faces, screaming out for just somebody to say, hey, look at this. There's so many discrepancies that this does not make sense. Nothing makes sense.
Diamond subscribed. Welcome to the SA family.
Did you get your 13th? You got 1 more subscriber in the next 2 minutes and 23 seconds for your dash wave.
1 more. 1 more. That Sarah says, Steph, you're amazing. So thank you. Thank you so much. B says, Steph, thank you for seeing my message. You're welcome.
Yes, you got it.
Yay, we did it. Welcome to the family, Marjorie. And then Taylor _17 just sent a new subscription. So Lisa Taylor, you are now a subscriber. Welcome to the SF family.
They won't move her case, Jessica. They will not move her case to another location. They denied that request. Miss Audrey herself went down to the office and talked to them and tried to present everything that she had with her entire soul and say, look, I need this case moved to another area. She even tried to appeal that. They would not. They wouldn't even. It was an instant no, because everybody in that town knows everybody.
Yeah.
They know each other. They're connected. And I feel like this needs to be taken higher versus straight to the city, because the city is not going to do anything. They're not going to help Miss Audrey at this point. Yeah. They're still going to do what they do. And with him coming out next year, he gets released in 2025. And I feel like it's not going to stop there. He's been away for quite some time, but once you're involved in that lifestyle.
Yo, I'm sorry. Yes, Chris, are you serious?
Yes, you got 99.8K.
200 folks away from 100,000 followers. What? Oh,
You're almost there.
oh my gosh. And
Figure me
y'all,
out. If you could message Steph, figure me out said, I'd like to share some info on someone who could help her.
yes. Send Dora a message. Send me a message. I'll get it to Dora. We'll do it.
Yeah,
Yes,
we'll work
anything.
together. I'll send you my number too, Steph, so that you have me, and then I'll get you in touch with Miss Audrey directly.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Absolutely.
she's new to TikTok, so it's still kind of hard for her. I shared her the link tonight to come in because she doesn't know how to go into live streams by the little bubbles. So she does texting very well. So she's completely comfortable with texting and things like that. And I'm truly thankful for anybody that knows somebody that can get this lady some help, that can try to fight for that DNA, because they have that DNA somewhere.
Yes.
It's in a
Yes.
lab.
And who's to say that they can't? There's so many more things that you could do in 2024, 2025 versus 2008.
Yes. And even in 2008, if somebody could look it up, the DNA testing, even though they didn't run it through CODIS, which is weird to me.
I guess I assumed that they did. And when she said that they didn't, because I'm like, because you would expect everybody to do that. Every police department, they've got the CODIS system. That should be like when you come into the office, you run the freaking DNA, you make you some coffee, you come back, you run some more DNA. It's just common sense. Why didn't they do it? They said they didn't have enough. Okay, but what about now?
But yeah, like you could get DNA from just a puff off of a cigarette these days.
Yes.
You could get DNA from you simply touching a door handle. There's so many ways to get DNA. Why was the DNA even not collected from the door handle that night? The door, they claimed, was kicked in by the woman's boots. But there's no print of that. Don't you think it would left print in the metal old trailer frame doors if you had spiked boots on?
Has she FOIA'd all of the crime scene photos?
Oh, absolutely.
And she has them?
Yep.
You think she'd send them to me?
Mm-hmm. I'll message her because I have them. Yep.
I wouldn't show them or anything. I would just, I like to study the things and.
Yeah, I want to show you this door specifically. You should see this door. The door is just freaking opened from the outside, and they said it was kicked in from the inside. Mm-hmm. How did Kara supposedly kick this door in when not a scratch was on that door? They said she took those spiked boots and kicked it all the way in, but the door frame on the trailer in 2008, we're looking at a trailer. You know how cheap the doors are on those things. Mm-hmm. The old metal, like the aluminum or whatever they are. If you are somebody that's forcing yourself in and kicking it in with a boot with spikes on it, you're going to leave some kind of dention.
Yeah.
And just from the dude in this photo, the father was at the sink, which, like Miss Audrey said tonight. Yes. Kara's mom says the only DNA on the door was Christina's blood. I think it was the little boy got on it as he left. Mm-hmm. So why was nobody else's on it if they came in? Mm-hmm. and the man was, and if Kara was there, because a lot of people say, oh, well, Kara was a rug addict, that's why she did it. Then why didn't she take anything that was laying all over the floor and kitchen sink?
Right. Because if you're going to go through that length, and yes, whoever done it could have grabbed the bigger bowl of whatever they had going on there, but it's just like a bank robber. You grab a bag of gold coins and you drop a gold coin or two. You're picking it up on the way out. You know, you're not, if you're that much of an addict enough to take the life of 3 people, you're not leaving a thing on the floor.
Why was there not any of the pew-pews stolen? Because in the bedroom there's 4. Why was them not taken? And we're talking high-powered.
$40,000. Yes. Why not take the things that you can sell whoever later for whatever later? Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Yes, exactly, Miss Audrey. 40,000 bag full of stuff on him. And why was that not taken? Instead, it's all over the floor, the counters, it's everywhere. So if you went in there for one reason and one reason only, that's exactly what you would take. And things that you could pawn, sell, whatever the case may be. Why would you not raid the house? So you're telling me allegedly Kara walks in, pew-pews the people, walks back out without taking nothing, but she had a reason to be there? Come on now.
All of that stuff. And she takes a wallet out and throws it at Paul in the car.
Right.
All that stuff. And you take a wallet, which can be traced.
And if that wallet had money in it and all these things in it, then why was it not found on Kara?
Right. Why not just open the wallet and take the cash and leave the wallet? Like, why are you taking that? It just doesn't, I can't even deal with it.
She wasn't going there just for a freaking wallet. Come on now. She would have took them big high-powered pew-pews that was in the corner. She would have took the TV. She would have took things that were valuable. She would have took so many things that were valuable to sell. What was she doing? Going in there to make a sandwich in the kitchen? Come on now. Like, it's common sense. And these police officers, Kara's mom said the wallet was found on RT 522 on Christmas Day by a runner. It was on the road. Okay, it was found, but it wasn't on Kara, but she stole the wallet and went to Subway with somebody else.
With the Subway thing is like,
I don't think that if I'd done something like that, I would not want to be caught in a Subway buying a sandwich at that hour.
Right?
Especially if you're trying to hide. Don't you think Kara would have hid?
I love Subways, but not enough to go there after a triple homicide.
Exactly. She, they say she goes to this triple homicide and then goes to a Subway and gets hair dye and nail glue because, those businesses have cameras. So for a person that's going to commit something like that is not going to be in the public eye. Come on now. It's just common sense, and it's ridiculous at how these people in Ohio are treating this case and not waking up to reality. Because if I was an attorney and yourself, Steph, if you was an attorney, would you not question those things the day of trial?
I question those things the day of trial as a civilian.
Right. Would you not come out and say, give me one piece of evidence that links Kara here at this hour? What DNA test? What this? What that? The Subway video versus the time of the murders. Tell me what links Kara here. I would have fought that to no end. I would have stood up in that courtroom and made a verbal argument regarding that. There's no way. She's missing her entire life with her family. Yes, she has a daughter. She has a daughter. And that woman that comes on here, the little boy's mom, he is now troubled as an adult. He's done quite a few things that are bad. And his mom still to this day tells him that it was Kara Garvin. His mother still openly says that and spews her hatred towards Kara and her mother and her family. And why? But mom is also on here, and clearly she's in active addiction.
Mm-hmm.
But mom also, the little boy described a tattoo on the neck. On the, a Band-Aid on the neck of the person that came in there. Okay, if it's dark in a trailer, how did he see a Band-Aid on somebody's neck? If he ran out and went down the hill?
There sure is a lot of detail.
But so-called, his mom has a tattoo on her neck in that same spot.
Mm-hmm.
In the same exact spot. And mom had dark hair at the time and was allegedly 4 doors down.
Texas girl's asking, and this is a very good question. Did the jury give any feedback on why they convicted? Did they give any interviews or anything?
I don't think they did. I think they convicted because of the 6-year-old statement. But once he was on the stand, the story changed. Everything changed. No, mom said no. And it was basically his story that captured this jury trial that's saying, oh, this little boy witnessed all this. Do I feel bad that he witnessed this? Abso-freaking-lutely.
Yeah, of course.
At 6 years old, I can't imagine witnessing something like that happening. And the trauma. But you know one thing after that? Mom never sought him therapy help. Nothing. That kid has not had any therapy. That kid has had nothing of that from that incident. And my heart just says that Kara was to blame because somebody knew somebody that had it out for Kara, and Kara needed to be the fall guy in this case. She did. She needed to be somebody's fall guy because you don't just wake somebody up out of their sleep and want them to go to a hotel because, of course, the internet's out, and want them to dye their hair. And then next thing you know, she's being told she's not coming back. That tells me you knew what was going on, and you knew what was about to happen.
So the little boy was 6 at the time, Allison. So now he would be 22.
Yep. Yeah, he is. And the trauma, she never got him therapy. She never, none of that. The child now is a troubled adult, very bad, and gotten himself in a lot of situations. And it's sad because I've been in mom's live stream when she has discussed the Kara case. And, people go in there in her live stream saying free Kara Garvin because she literally talked so negatively about Kara and didn't know hardly anything about Kara. But those were her parents that was unalived that night. But my thing is with her story, I question everything because she was allegedly, 4 doors down and heard nothing. If you were 4 doors down on a mountain like that, it was like a hill. So you had a trailer down at the bottom of the hill where the little boy ran. Why didn't the neighbor that called the 911 hear anything? Because he was right there. Mm-hmm. Why did nobody hear nothing? There's so many questions I have. And I've talked to Miss Audrey about this. I've gotten on the phone with her, and we've sat on the phone just questioning why. Why was this not even? They basically, the way I looked at it, the reports from the police, they came out there, they wrote a solid shit report that, Kara did this. This was the woman. This is what happened. This is what the little boy said, and they called it a night. It was never investigated properly, and I feel like in this case, she deserves so much more. She's missing out on her daughter. She's missing out on her grandchildren. She's missing out on a lot sitting behind bars for something she didn't do. Mm-hmm. It would be different. And Miss Audrey and I talked about this. Miss Audrey, there's nobody that knows you more than your mama. Your mama knows you in and out.
Yeah.
Okay. She birthed you. She knows you. She knows your personality. She knows when you're sick, you're depressed, you're sad. She knows your move. She knows how you're going to move. And if Miss Audrey for 1 second thought that Kara did any of this, she wouldn't fight as hard. She would tell her daughter she was wrong and she is where she is. She would tell her daughter that she loves her and she understands, but she would also not agree with her choice. She said the captain gave the child and Kara's name 5 minutes after arriving at the scene. See? The captain is the one that gave the child Kara's name, and suddenly Kara's convicted?
Well, I want to not stop talking about this. Trust me. I want to stay here, but I got to get up in the morning and go see my sister in a completely different town. And I'm just, going to be tagging along for some Christmas shopping. And I always do all my shopping online. So I'm quite fretful about shopping
Girl,
in an
don't do it.
actual
It's a setup.
store.
It's a setup.
It's, what is it?
Shopping like that in person is a setup. No,
Yes,
it's a whole setup. I can't do it. I get too much anxiety doing that.
I do. Me too. But it's the opportunity to see the sis that I'm going. So
Absolutely. You go and enjoy. I'll get you my number and I'll get you connected with her. And by the I did put the petition up in my bio, guys. So if you guys want to sign that,
petition, go follow Dora, go get the link. I think that's where we start.
Yep. And we'll get this to higher up and we will start getting this around and try in hopes that the governor of Ohio will take a stand.
Taylor's, I thank you. I will get to your message. Folks, it usually takes me 1 to 2 days to get to your message just because of the amount of messages. But please know I'll read every single one. If you've sent me a message and I've not seen it, I will. Trust me. I try to do that. I dedicate so many, at least an hour a day to try to respond to messages. So I appreciate it and I will be reading it. Dora, I love you and I appreciate everything that you do. And thank you for bringing this to my attention.
Absolutely. And thank you, Steph, for all that you do. And I appreciate all of you guys that joined in here tonight with Steph to hear Miss Audrey's story. And always continue what you do. And let's be the voice of reason for many people who are in this situation.
Y'all know you're making my dreams come true right before my eyes. I say it every single day because I mean it. This is crazy to me. This is like, what's happening? Is this real life? You guys know I love you, and you guys know I appreciate the opportunity that you give me every single day to come and see this show and to help spread the word for justice. It means a great deal to me. Monday's show, I'm live every Monday through Friday, 10:30 a.m. until noon. Monday morning show, I will start at 10:30. It might be only for 30 minutes because I have to go with a friend of mine to the doctor for support. And so otherwise we'll be on a normal schedule starting Tuesday morning at 10:30 Eastern Standard Time. Please know that you can follow me on any social media platform. All you have to do is look for the same username and logo. I'm on YouTube, Bookface, Instagram, Twitter, X. Daisy is saying 99.9 thousand followers. I'm literally 100 people away from 100,000 followers. I started on this app 4 years ago with 1 follower. And so to reach 100,000 is a milestone that I will never, ever, ever, ever forget. Ever. And this is going to happen tonight. So thank you all so much for your support and your love and everything that you do for me every single day. I get up knowing that I have purpose, and I go to sleep every night knowing that I've contributed some of that purpose, and it's because of you that happens. Okay, you guys have a safe and blessed weekend. Be kind to one another. I love you. Good night.